Hey guys, how you doing? Right here again. If you'd like to subscribe, it's Nitro Kyosho. I want to wish everybody well out there. Hope everybody is doing great. They're healthy, along with their families. And I wanted to make a video here. It's been a while, guys, since I sat down and made one of these videos. And I've been getting a lot of questions lately and a lot of activity on my channel, which is a good thing because, this market is really taking a hit. The lack of fun flies, the lack of interest in helicopters. I know the quads came along and the FPV and all that really. And then a lot of people quit. I mean, I used to have a crew of about 15 guys flying every Sunday, and just about every one of them quit. So there's not a lot of people left around here where I'm at flying. They've moved on to different things or whatever have you. Some people are fad oriented, they get in and out of things, and that's just the way life goes. But I'm still here doing this stuff, and I want to answer some questions. I've been getting a lot of questions, and I want to give some detailed answers. A lot of it is when do I switch to a 700? That's one of the biggest questions that I've been getting lately is when should I switch to a 700 size helicopter? Well, let's talk about a couple of different factors involved. One is money, your budget. Two is how much time have you spent learning? Is this going to be your first machine? There is pros and cons to the smaller helicopters, and there's pros and cons to the big ones. Okay. A lot has changed since I got into this hobby 11, 12 years ago. I was doing the cars much longer than that, but the helicopters about probably 10, 12 years now. When I got into it, it was all flybarred helicopters, no flybarless units. Now you have to be a lot more computer savvy, technically. They're a little bit more advanced than they were back then. And there's different ways to get into the hobby, cheaper, more expensive, a lot of different options now. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff. So primarily I believe this will be a beginner's type video to help people into intermediate type advice. All right. I spent a lot of time with 450 size helicopters, and I grew to love them, and then it took me years to get into the bigger ones. But having had all the different sizes, from the small 250 to the 450 to the 500, 570, 600, 700 sizes, I can tell you this from my advice and my own personal experiences. I like a 450 size in my fleet, and I like a 700. A friend of mine had given me that 280. I would have never bought it myself or used it, but a good friend of mine gave it to me, and I built it, and I'm very appreciative for that and grateful. But in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, so take this with a grain of salt, guys. I don't think you need a 250, a 450, a 500, a 550, a 570, a 600, a 700, an 8. I don't think you need all those in between models. It's a big, big waste of money. I found that, now I use this, now that's the other thing before we go any further. A 450 size when I started is not the same as a 450 considered helicopter now. Okay, when I started, a 325 millimeter blade was considered a 450 size helicopter. Okay, now this is considered a 450 size helicopter, and that has 420 millimeter blades. So you're talking a difference of 16.5-inch span to 12.5 inches. Okay, plus the heads are a little bigger, so you're probably talking about 5 inches more total rotor span, which is tremendous when you're talking about a helicopter. That makes a huge difference. So I find that having this Goblin 420 Sport, and usually I fly that from October to about April, then I switch to this machine. Now this might sound weird to some people, but I make a seamless transition going from this helicopter to this one because of the speed, the power. You go right to this one. It's like you go right out and fly this, and you felt like you never stopped flying it. It's just me personally. This helicopter to this one is just a perfect fit. When I had the 500s and the 570s and the 600s, I was getting kind of messed up my flying style because they all flew very, very differently. And a friend of mine told me, if you want to get really good, you got to stick with one machine. Okay, pick one and stick with it. And he's one of the best pilots in the world that told me that. So, for advice of people getting into this hobby, there's cheap ways of doing it. Okay, you've got what you see in back of me here, these Andromeda Vista quads, and you've got Horizon Hobby stuff, the old MCX2 I had, and the little Nano QX and the Inductress. You know, people used to say years ago, oh, you got to buy this, and you got to buy this, and you know, people would look at me and say, geez, I'm going to be broke. I'm going to spend $10,000 to get into this hobby. Well, if you're getting into the hobby and you're not sure about it, get yourself something small. Get a small little Blade helicopter, or even a cheapie from Walmart or Amazon, and play with it for a little while and see if it holds your interest. See if you have that real interest to move to the next level. Okay, going out and spending $1,500 on this, a couple $100 worth of batteries, $500 to $1,000 for a transmitter, $200-300 for a charger setup, power supply, a toolbox to carry all your stuff, a bag to bring it all to the field. You're going to be into it for a lot of money, upwards of $3,000. So using your head and not getting, like I was just talking about, some of the guys that I knew that were fad oriented, got into it, got out of it, got into it, got out of it. Don't go spending thousands and thousands of dollars right off the bat when you don't even know if you're going to be interested in this stuff in a week or two. You know, get those little ones, play around with them, and if you like that, then my next suggestion would be, from going from the little one, is getting something about this size, the 420 size. Getting yourself a simulator. I don't think Phoenix is making them anymore. I think another company took them over, but there's Next RC, there's there's a whole bunch of them now out there. There's Real Flight. They're all pretty good units. You put them into your computer and you get, and you learn how to fly that way. And that is really, in my opinion, get a 450 size and get a simulator. Stay away from these big ones until you can fly this size pretty confident, where you're not crashing it every time you go out. You can confidently sport fly. A lot of guys try to go out there and start doing acrobatic flying when they can't even sport fly, and they get into trouble and they start smashing them, and then they get discouraged in the hobby. Learn how to fly upright. Learn how to do circles. Learn how to do figure eights. Be confident in your side hovering and your just all the different hovering techniques of feeling confident enough where you say, hey, I think I'm ready to start doing the acrobatic. Now, in the meantime, you can practice all the acrobatic stuff on the simulators, okay? But and these quads too are cheap. You can get these anywhere, I think $40 to $80, and they're cheap. They give you the little quad in there, and they give you the controller and a battery and a charger and everything. And you go out in the backyard, you have fun with them, and you see if your interest peaks. There's so many people that get into the hobby and get out of it very quickly. And like I said, programming the flybarless units. Most young kids now are computer savvy. They have smartphones. They know how to do things. They know how to follow the instructions when it comes to computers and everything. So that aspect of setting it up and everything, I think you'd be all right on for the most part. But that's really my tips and opinion. You know, it's changed a lot since I got into this hobby, guys. It really has. I mean, I remember I had the MCX2, and I had the MCPX, and I had the Blade SR, and I had the Blade 120, and the Blade 180X, and all the different ones, and it adds up to a lot of money, guys. A lot of money and a lot of wasted money. You know, but that was also a different time, because these were a little bit harder to fly when I started with Flybard, because you really were controlling that helicopter. With these, they're much easier to fly because the computer's doing a lot of the work for you, you know. And don't take that the wrong way. It's not going to fly itself, but you'd have to experience the Flybard and then experience this to understand what I'm talking about. But that's my opinion. Start out small. Get yourself a little something just to play around in your living room with. See if it piques your interest. See if it holds your interest. If it does, you can actually buy a simulator even before you buy one of these 450 size. The simulator is still fairly cheap. I think you can get them at Healy Direct for maybe $120. The computer, the disc, the wireless dongle. Some of them you can get transmitters with. Some of them you can't. Depends what system you look at. And mess around with that. And it doesn't hurt if you can get out to some flying fields. Try to meet some guys out there. Try to get hooked up with a reputable hobby shop. You know, make it clear to the people at the hobby shop you're a novice, and if you buy something from them, are they willing to have one of their techs help you out, show you some tips, set it up for you, help you answer questions? I mean, you're going to be buying it from them, and most hobby shops are pretty good like that. But the other problem with going right to a big machine like this is the cost of fixing it if you put it into the ground. These blades alone are over $100. The canopy is like $90, you know. So it can add up real quick if you bring one of these up, and even if you don't even bring it up. I mean, I've seen people that don't have them set up right, and they crash right on the ground, or they tip over sideways, and you break a blade, and you're already into it for $110 or whatever, you know. So, and in my opinion too, these, you know, a lot of people over the years, get a big machine, they're so much easier to fly. I don't know if that's really true. I mean, I go out and I can do everything I can do with this machine. I can do with this one, or I can do with that one. I mean, yeah, they balance out a little bit. I mean, they're bigger blades and everything, but, you know, I think that there's an intimidation factor with a big machine and a novice pilot. There's a danger factor. You can get seriously hurt. You can get killed. You can kill somebody else. You can do a lot of damage with one of these big machines. You know, even these little ones will kill you if it comes and hits you in the neck or the throat. You know, you got to be careful and you got to be safe. And that's why I really don't recommend getting involved with these until you have a good grasp on a smaller machine. But I do stand by what I said of, if you can get a good grasp on this, you know what you're doing, you got it set up right, you're flying it, you got all your orientations, you've been sport flying, sure, go to this, because now you're ready. Now you can fly, now you can handle it, you know what to do, how to set it up, and I think you're a lot safer then and a lot better off. But that's my tips. For new people getting into the hobby, this is kind of an updated video, and I hope this gives you guys some help and some thoughts and some advice. And I'm always here to answer questions. Send me your questions, and I you know, be descriptive, and I'm always there to help you guys. I've been here for 10 years. I'm not going anywhere. I want people to be safe in the hobby. I want them to be happy. I want them to enjoy the hobby. I don't want to see people getting hurt. I don't want to see that in the news. That's my advice to you guys, and I hope that it helps you out. And you know, the other factor is too, with a 450 size, is the batteries are a lot cheaper. You know, you're talking $65 for a battery, here you're talking, you know, depending what brand you buy, you could be talking 120, 150, $200 a battery. You know, you're talking $400 for a 3-minute flight compared to $60 for a 3-minute flight. So the cost goes up with a 12-cell machine. You're running 2 batteries, so the cost gets greater, the parts are more expensive, and the danger factor is even greater. So take the advice I'm giving. I think you'll be happy and enjoy the hobby, and you won't go broke doing it. Thanks for watching, guys.